Shocking. Kemi
to have
Badenoch said that she would prefer to have more middle-class Nigerians and fewer people from rural Bangladesh.
I think
In this episode, she shares her opinion on migrants in UK.
that we take
Stay
doctors from
tuned.
poor countries who have trained them and take them away from places that they're needed. That's not fair. The most extreme example of this is what we saw with the rape gangs, where people who've been coming to this country from the 60s, from a particular region and sub-community in Pakistan, get here, stay insular, not interested in integration, and then you start seeing very, very toxic, I would say evil habits propagating, and no one doing anything about it because they're separate. We have to make sure that we have a dominant culture in our country, and the people who move here want to help make the UK a better place.
Welcome to our channel. YouTube actively moderating our content. If you want to stay up to date, please like and share. Thanks for watching.
OK, Rachel Reeves' growth plans depend on immigration running at something north of 300,000 a year over the next 5 years. Would you agree it's hard to see how we fill the jobs needed to grow the economy without immigration?
I disagree. I think that immigration is already too high. And when I was in government, I was constantly told by, OBR reports and the IFS, etc., that we needed immigration for growth. We had more immigration than ever before, and the growth was not commensurate with that. We need to change the way things work. It's too high, and we need an economy where all of those people who are out of work in this country get back to work. That's where we need to start from.
So how are you going to cut it down at the same time as staffing the hospitals and social care and doing the building of homes?
There are many things that you can do. First of all, start with the people in this country who are out of work.
Yeah, you've got to train. It takes years to train people.
That's true, but it's not fair that we take doctors from poor countries who have trained them and take them away from places that they're needed. That's not fair. I lived in a country where all of the doctors were leaving to go to wealthier countries in the West. What we are doing is bad for our country and it is bad for the world. Let's fix what is going on here.
All right. On immigration, you've made a really interesting point, which is that numbers matter, but integration matters more.
Yes, culture matters more, yes.
Yeah. When you talk about this, who are you talking about, and why would integration be more difficult for some rather than others?
Trevor, you've asked me this question before, I remember.
And I didn't get an answer then, so I'm asking you again.
Actually, you got a very, very clear answer. And one of the things that I don't think we have been doing in this country properly is having a proper immigration strategy. And many people assume that it's just something that government does. It has to go well beyond government. All of society has to do it. And that's what used to happen when we had immigration in much smaller, much more manageable numbers. And the numbers that we have seen over the last few decades mean that we are getting people having separate and insular communities. The most extreme example of this is what we saw with the rape gangs, where people who've been coming to this country from the 60s, from a particular region and sub-community in Pakistan, get here, stay insular, not interested in integration, and then you start seeing very, very toxic, I would say evil habits propagating, and no one doing anything about it because they're separate. We have to make sure that we have a dominant culture in our country, and the people who move here want to help make the UK a better place. Our country is not a hotel, it's not a dormitory, this is our home.
But you have made a separate point, or perhaps a connected point, about who those people are and basically who you would prefer to come
Oh, what
here.
did I say specifically? What do you mean?
You said that you worried about peasants who form sub-communities. Now, you can explain to me what you mean, but one way of reading this would be that you would prefer to have more middle-class Nigerians and fewer people from rural backgrounds in Bangladesh.
Let me be very, very clear. Immigration is too high, across the board, legal or illegal. But the point I was making there was about a specific report on that community of people who are predominant in the rape gangs. They did come from a particular place where they were mostly peasant farmers. They were insular, even from the rest of Pakistan. They're not like the people in Lahore. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to fix. I hear a lot of people talk about Asian grooming gangs, about Pakistani grooming gangs. A lot of people are being blamed. A lot of innocent people who happen to share characteristics are being blamed. So let's be specific. That was a literal word that has evidence behind it about where these people have come from, what they have been doing.
So
we should not be afraid to talk about that.
So we're going to apply a class lens to our immigration.
And this is, Trevor, forgive me, this is one of the problems, that when there is an issue where we have victims, girls are being raped and attacked, the conversation is more about the language that we're using. Well, what should we call the people? We can't be shy about things like that. And that's what I'm most interested in, the victims.
I'm interrupting you because you routinely complain that you're misquoted and misunderstood by people like me. Now, I just want to be clear.
Not often.
Okay.
I think you're quite
often
fair.
enough. I want to give you the opportunity to be clear. You are not saying, I think, you're saying that different kinds of people bring different things. One path that might lead you to is to say that we should block immigration from certain parts of certain countries.
When you have low-skilled immigration from people who are not interested in integrating, you will have a problem. That is something that needs to be looked at. We should not treat somebody who has no education, no English, no skills, the same as a wealthy doctor who has come from a country close by like France. And at the moment, that's what's happening. And that's what's been happening for many, many decades. We can't do that. It's not sustainable. We need to be able to make sure that the people who are coming to our country are people who contribute. And of course, we will have exceptions where we have refugees, genuine asylum seekers, not just people who are claiming asylum when they're actually economic migrants. But I'm not afraid to talk about that. And it is because a lot of people have been afraid that problems have festered and got worse. And we need politicians who will tell the truth. Conservative parties under new leadership, that's what I'm here to do.
So much more to talk about. I hope you'll come back. Thank you, Kemi Badenoch, for your time this morning.